Coming up on this week's GCN Racing News Show, our hot takes for 2025. After such a successful 2024 episode in which one of my hot takes proved correct, I'm back with 7 more for next season. This year in the world of racing, we learned that Tadej Pogacar is the new Eddie Merckx. 58 days of racing, 25 wins, including 2 Grand Tours, 2 Monuments and a World Championship. In March, I think a few of us scoffed when he stated he wanted to be the best cyclist ever. 7 months later, he was well on his way to achieving that goal. We also learnt this year that Kasia Niewiadoma is a winner. After close to 5 years without a pro victory, in 2024 she triumphed in La Fleche Wallonne and then the big one, the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. And finally, we learnt that Visma Lease Bike couldn't back up their dream 2023 season. After winning all 3 Grand Tours in a single season, this year they didn't win any. However, Jonas Vingegaard's performance at the Tour de France was kind of a win in itself, coming just 12 weeks after a horrific crash in which he suffered a collapsed and bruised lung as well as multiple broken bones. Right then, let's crack on. Hot take number 1 for 2025, Juan Ayuso will win the Giro d'Italia. There's been a lot said about Juan Ayuso this year, much of that centred around his seeming unwillingness to sacrifice his own Tour de France ambitions for the greater good of the team. He would later pull out of that race due to illness, but then wasn't included in UAE's Vuelta roster. So it felt like the rider-team relationship was breaking down. But Ayuso has already been named on their 2025 Giro d'Italia roster, and given his recent quotes about his future ambition, this year clearly hasn't dented his confidence or determination. Now the thing with Ayuso is that he's rarely had a clean run towards his goals. Sickness, injury and crashes have been the bumps in the road, but if he stays healthy between now and May, I think he's going to head home with the Maglia Rosa. Hot take number 2. Lotte Kopecky will win the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. Year after year, Kopecky's climbing has got better and better, to the point where she was riding toe-to-toe with teammate Wallonne at this year's Tour de Suisse Queen stage, a race that she would go on to win overall. Now with Demi Wallonne now a rival on a different team, as opposed to a rival on her own team, I can see Kopecky determined to prove some points. A, that she's not just a classics and track superstar, and then B, that she's got the measure of Wallonne in a Grand Tour. Number 3 then, Wout van Aert is going to win a cobbled monument. Okay, I did copy-paste this from last year's episode, and at this point it feels as much a hope as a prediction. Now 30 years old and with so much talent, it almost seems ludicrous that Wout van Aert has only won 1 monument and that it didn't come on the cobbles of Belgium or France. And I'm really starting to feel for Van Aert. He's basically watched his arch rival Mathieu van der Poel rack up 7 monument wins, each one then adding to the pressure on his own shoulders from the Belgian media and Belgian cycling fans. There's always just something that seems to go wrong for Van Aert in the classics, whether that's a puncture at an inopportune moment or a crash that takes him out of the races altogether. And it's starting to feel like things will never go his way. But don't worry, Wout, you've got it in 2025. That win, though, might not come for him in the Tour of Flanders, because hot take number 4 is that Tadej Pogacar will be even better in 2025. How do you get better than 2 Grand Tours, a World Championships and 2 Monuments? Easy, just add a 3rd monument in. So next year he is down to do Milan San Remo, the Tour of Flanders, Liège-Bastogne-Liège and Il Lombardia, and it would take a brave person to bet against him winning 3 of those at least. He seems as hungry as ever, and quite scarily, he still appears to be improving. The slight caveat to this prediction is that he's not confirmed to do a 2nd Grand Tour at the moment next year, but he has said it could be on the cards depending on the parcours. If he only does the one, the Tour de France, he'll just have to win all 4 of those monuments and the World Championships. Sorry, Wout. Number 5 then, Anna van der Breggen won't win La Fleche Wallonne. Now I think we're all eagerly anticipating the return of van der Breggen to rider from DS. She ended her career at the end of 2021, and so it will be close to 3.5 years since she last pinned a number on when she resurrects that career next year. She has 62 wins to her name so far, 7 of which came in consecutive editions of La Flèche Wallonne. There are 2 questions that I've got though. Firstly, how close can she get to her former level? And secondly, is that former level enough to win races in 2025? I have a feeling that it's not. And so as much as I would love to see it, I don't think she'll be taking an 8th victory at that race. On to number 6. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe will win a cobbled classic. I did not say monument, so I'm hedging my bets here. Red Bull have made a big investment in their stage racing talent in recent years, but this off-season they've made some significant headway with their classics ambitions. So they've recruited the likes of Laurence Pithy, Oya Lazcano, the Van Dijk twins, Gianni Moscon and Jan Tratnik. All riders who've either had significant results already or shown promise in the cobbled classics, whilst Van Heels adds to their hilly classics pedigree as well. Now, whether or not they can gel as a team in their very first year together is a different question, but there is no doubt they've got the class to pull off a big win. A win that I think is going to come at Ghent-Wevelgem. I'm getting very specific. So finally then, hot take number 7, Jonathan Milan wins the Tour de France green jersey. No, he's not even confirmed to ride the Tour de France just yet, but yes, he will win green. There's no subtlety with Milan sprinting, is there? It's just brutal raw power stomped through the pedals. In full flight, it's really quite something to behold. The one thing standing in his way, though, I would say, is positioning. There were too many times this season where he wasn't able to unleash his horsepower because he wasn't in a position to do so. But if he and his team can resolve that problem, he's going to be very hard to beat in next year's sprint finishes. Am I confident in that prediction? No. Am I confident in any of my predictions? Also no. If even one of them comes off, I'm going to take that as a win personally. Anyway, let me know which ones, if any, you agree with, and please drop your own hot takes in the comment section just down below this video. I will revisit this one in a year's time or so to see which of you nailed it. Speaking of which, I did earlier on today have a look back through the comments from last year's hot takes video here on the racing channel, so I'm going to give a couple of special mentions now. The first of those goes to Yafe Tazagid 6488, who said, the only way Visma is not winning a Grand Tour is if Jonas crashes. Pretty accurate. Monsieur Gabar 525, Pogacar will do a historic quadruple crown, Giro Tour double, Olympic gold and world champion. Well, you got 3 out of the 4 right. My Fat Adapted Life wrote in as well to say Kasia Niewiadoma will win the Tour de France Femmes. Well done to you. And then we had a few comments at the other end of the spectrum. For example, Mohammed02, Van Aert will do the Grand Slam of Paris-Roubaix, Ronde van Vlaanderen, World Championships road race and Olympics road race. You couldn't have been more wrong. John Andrews 3568 put, not a snowball's chance in hell that Cav will take a stage at the Tour de France unless they gift it to him, which I can't see happening, assuming he makes the Tour de France squad in the first place. Wout will win a monument, or Flanders, or Roubaix. Mathieu van der Poel for Strada if it's on his programme, and likely the Olympic road race. I think you two, those final 2 comments, are much more on my level here. A reminder that you're going to be able to watch a full season of bike racing live on Discovery Plus and Max through 2025, and it's really not that far away at this point. The Tours Down Under kick off in just 2.5 weeks from now. It's quite hard to believe the new season's already that close, isn't it? Right, that brings me to the end of the show and to the end of the year. Apologies for the lack of actual news, but this is a pre-recorded episode so that I and my colleagues can have a bit of time off. So on that note, I hope you all had a great Christmas and I wish you all a happy and healthy 2025. I'll see you then.